From gut calls to legendary cashes, these are the top 10 most memorable sports betting moments of 2025.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tim Murray, and yes, indeed, we are looking back at some of the most memorable sports betting moments of 2025. We bid farewell to 2025 just a couple weeks ago, but so many moments that we here at VSiN remember vividly, and we felt like, let's put it all together as one show. And just a little reminder for all of you, before you start yelling at us, this is a list we compiled of our most memorable sports moments, and the list is 10 through 1 today. But if you want to see 11 through 20, make sure you check out vsin.com. It is up right now. And if you have issues with this or want to add to the joy of the memorable countdown, you can always tweet us at VSiN Live. But we got so many great memories from 2025. Let's get right into our countdown.
Cracking the list at number 10.
The Florida Gators, who once upon a time, ladies and gentlemen, were 60-1 to win the national championship. They come in at number 10 of our most memorable sports betting moments because the wild ride in the NCAA tournament was not an easy one for anyone who had a future on the Florida Gators. You think about their second round matchup in the West region against the defending national champion UConn Huskies. Florida was a 9-point favorite against UConn, but they were tied at the half. There were moments in that game on a Sunday afternoon where the Florida Gators were actually plus money on the money line, but they found a way to win, and the legend of Walter Clayton Jr. really came to life in that second round when he scored 13 of his 23 points in the final 8 minutes as Florida was able to prevail 77-75. After an easy win over Maryland in the Sweet 16, things were not easy in the Elite 8 when they took on Texas Tech. They were 7-point favorites, the Gators were, but they were down 75-66 with less than 3 minutes to play. But that man again, Walter Clayton Jr., 30 points as the Florida Gators came back, beat the Texas Tech Red Raiders 84-79, on to the Final Four where they would meet an SEC rival in the Auburn Tigers. Remember, all 4 1 seeds in 2025 made it to the Final Four, and in the Final Four, the Gators, wouldn't you know it, down again at halftime, 46-38, but Walter Clayton Jr., 34 points, and they came back to win 79-73, leading to a showdown in the national championship on a Monday night against the Houston Cougars. And Houston led the majority of the game against the Florida Gators, led by as many as 12 in this contest. But at the end of the day, the Gators kept chipping away, and Walter Clayton Jr. may not have been excellent from an offensive standpoint in the national title, but he came through with a massive defensive play as Emmanuel Sharp rose to try to win the game for the Houston Cougars. Walter Clayton Jr. was there to affect that shot. He dropped it to the floor. There was a mad scramble, and ultimately the Florida Gators were cutting down the nets thanks to a 65-63 win. I was not happy on that particular night because I had the Houston Cougars, but our own Mitch Moss, boy, was he happy after Florida won the title.
So when I finished second in the blackjack tournament, I knew the guy in front of me was going to take Duke. Then I was down to Florida and maybe a couple of other teams. I landed on the Gators. So they made the national title game. I'm watching at a local pizza joint with a bunch of friends on that Monday night, and I was an absolute wreck. Now, I hedged on Houston because I wanted to make some money on this bad boy, and it was $15,000 on a free bet at plus 725. So I put a lot of money on Houston, but they led the entire way. So I don't really have any regrets at hedging because that game was a nightmare anyway. And had I not wrapped up some money, I would have been beside myself. So overall, it was a nightmare process to go through with how many games that they were playing so tight. But they eventually won, and cashing that ticket was obviously one of the best things that's ever happened to me.
Through the roof there for Mitch Moss all throughout the NCAA tournament, but he got there, and winning or coming in second in a blackjack tournament tends to work out well for you here at Circa. Congrats to Mitch, and what a memory it was for him as we get into another memorable moment in 2025.
The 9th most memorable betting moment of the year.
And this one didn't happen all too long ago. Right before Christmas, the Chicago Bears, the cardiac kids there in the Windy City, were able to come back and beat the Green Bay Packers. And you might be thinking to yourself, wait, I thought this happened in 2026. No. We're not talking about the playoff game where they were down 21-3 at halftime, scored 25 points in the fourth quarter to win that game. Remember, that happened in January of 26. This happened December 20th of 2025. The Chicago Bears on a Saturday night found themselves trailing 16-9 against the Green Bay Packers. An onside kick recovered. When do you ever recover an onside kick? The Chicago Bears did. And then Caleb Williams on a 4th and 4 from the 6-yard line, forced overtime. We go to overtime. And remember this play. The Green Bay Packers had the ball at the Chicago 36-yard line. Malik Willis, he was in for Jordan Love, who left the game with a concussion. Malik Willis on 4th and 1 under center, botched the snap, had to fall on it. So Chicago had the ball in a tie game and an opportunity to win. Couple plays later, Caleb Williams, 46-yard touchdown pass to DJ Moore. Green Bay, at one point in time in this game, had a 99% win probability. But the Chicago Bears, they found that 1%, and somehow, some way, on a cold night in Chicago, won 22-16, a night Jensen Lewis remembers very well.
All the things that had to transpire. It's one of the tickets I had written off and just said, you know what? This is it. It was a great game. It is a valiant effort to try and come back. But there's no way to get an onside kick in these NFL times and be able to look at, oh, now Caleb Williams is going to have to lead him down. The throw to get into the end zone and the walk-off touchdown is one that will live in infamy. Was it one of the biggest throws in Bears history, maybe since their Super Bowl? Perhaps, considering the moment, the division rival, and trying to lock up a playoff seed. A ticket I'll never forget. The plus 2.5 should never have gotten across the line. It does. That's betting, people, and that's a gamble that paid off.
And Jensen got closing line value because that game actually closed as Chicago minus 1.5. It was their sort of year until ultimately it wasn't, as they lost in the divisional round to the Rams, but without any heroics, of course, as Caleb Williams would backpedal 20 yards, throw a touchdown pass to Cole Kmet, but in overtime, the Rams were able to end the Bears season. But what a moment it was in late December as the Chicago Bears knocked off the Green Bay Packers, the first of two agonizing defeats for the Green Bay Packers. I'm sure Green Bay Packer fans are not saying that was a memorable sports betting moment for them. Let's get to another one. Speaking of football, how about the NFL draft?
The moment that landed at number 8.
Shedeur Sanders dropping all the way to the 5th round. What a wild run this was leading up to the NFL draft. The NFL draft is an event we love to bet here at VSiN because we feel like this is an opportunity we as bettors get to have the leg up on odds makers. And Shedeur Sanders was such a unique situation, such a high-profile player, as we all know. And where would he ultimately go? Would he go in the 1st round? Would he be the 2nd quarterback selected? You look at the odds that we're showing you right here. These were at close, over under 10.5. It was almost a foregone conclusion he was going to be a top 10 pick. A foregone conclusion he would be the 2nd quarterback selected. But at the end of the day, he drops all the way to the 5th round. ESPN's Mel Kiper could not believe what was happening to Shedeur Sanders.
All I can say is I think it's disgusting. I don't understand what the heck's going on with this. 5th player on my board. It's never happened before in 47 years where a player that high has dropped this far into the 4th round at quarterback. That's sitting there in round 4 with other quarterbacks being taken who aren't as good as Shedeur, aren't even close.
I mean, there was one point, we showed you the graphic, at close, Shedeur Sanders was minus 290 to be the 2nd quarterback selected. Ultimately, as we all recall, it was Jackson Dart as the Giants traded back in to the 1st round to select the Ole Miss quarterback. Tyler Shuck would go in the 2nd round. Dylan Gabriel by the Cleveland Browns would go in the 3rd round. But there was one point where Shedeur Sanders to be the 2nd quarterback selected was minus 550. Gil Alexander remembers it vividly, the drop of Shedeur Sanders in the NFL draft.
I don't know if there's a more memorable sports betting story than the Shedeur Sanders fall from grace in the 2025 NFL draft. Up until about 10 days before the draft, he was considered by conventional wisdom to be one of the top picks in the NFL draft. People were betting accordingly. And then about 10 days before that, here on a numbers game where we think we're smarter than everybody, we had Drew Dinsick on, and he said there are some soft evidentiary, points to suggest that Shedeur might fall. Saints didn't show any interest in interviewing him. Shedeur's camp said we're not showing up to New York. They're happy being drafted by anyone. So there was those kind of things. Not only did he fall to the end of the first draft like we predicted then, he fell all the way to the 5th round, and the Browns drafted Dillon Gabriel in the 3rd round. So it made it an unbelievably surprising sports story, where before that, the biggest drop we ever heard about was Aaron Rodgers going from 1st to 24th. So Shedeur Sanders' fall from grace has to be at the top of the list.
The roller coaster ride for Shedeur Sanders in the NFL draft, waiting until day 3. I thought he would drop maybe out of the 1st round all the way to the 5th round. Nobody saw that coming. Well said by Gil Alexander. We're just getting rolling on the most memorable moments from a sports betting standpoint of 2025. There was a lot of jubilation. Jensen Lewis and Mitch Moss. How about some agony? Because that's really what sports betting moments are all about. Let's go back to week 1 of the NFL season. A disastrous loss for the Baltimore Ravens. That's up next as we continue our most memorable sports betting moments of 2025.
You're tuned in to the top 10 most memorable sports betting moments of 2025.
We keep it rolling here on the most memorable sports betting moments of 2025. I'm your host, Tim Murray, and when we think about sports betting moments, the NFL is always front of mind, and that's where we rejoin our top 10 at number 7.
At number 7.
The Buffalo Bills, week 1, Sunday Night Football. Feels like a million years ago. September 7th, the Buffalo Bills in a very unique spot on this Sunday night. They were a home underdog, and it looked like the odds makers, well, they got this one right because the Baltimore Ravens had dominated this game from the jump. Scored on 7 of their first 8 drives. And how about King Henry? A 46-yard touchdown run to make it 40-25. It looked like this game was locked up. The Baltimore Ravens not only were going to win week 1, but maybe they were going to win the Super Bowl in 2025. Not fire John Harbaugh, but we'll get to that a little bit later. But here came the Buffalo Bills. And how about this? With 8:37 to go in the 4th quarter, trailing 40-25, the Buffalo Bills had a 1.1% win probability. They came all the way back, and one of the more improbable plays of the entire season was a 4th and 2, Josh Allen getting chased by a host of Baltimore Raven defenders, throws one into the end zone, it gets deflected, and there in the back of the end zone, a man that, well, some people in the Bills organization don't seem to be too thrilled about now, but they loved him back in week 1. Keon Coleman came up with the catch to make it 40-32. The Bills would score another touchdown, but would miss the 2-point conversion, 40-38. But they got the ball back, the Bills did, with less than 2 minutes to go, and Josh Allen was MVP-esque. Bing, bang, boom. 4 for 4 on that drive, including a beautiful 32-yarder to Palmer, followed by a 25-yarder to, you guessed it, Keon Coleman, before an opportunity for Matt Prater, 41 years young, Matt Prater, to kick a game-winning field goal to give the Bills a stunning come-from-behind 41-40 victory over the Baltimore Ravens. I didn't have a dog in the fight. I actually did not bet this game, but I know that Dustin Sweetelson did, and it kind of ruined his first Sunday of the NFL season.
Let's go back. Week 1, National Football League. We're putting a bow on the end of the opening week of the season. It's a beautiful day. We're feeling good. We know we've got at least 17 more weeks of these regular season games for all of these teams going forward. And the nightcap is looking like the Baltimore Ravens are proving a lot of us right, including yours truly, who bet them to have the best record in the league this year. They're dominating the Buffalo Bills. And as we go to the fourth quarter, it just looks like it's going to be Baltimore's night. 34-19 is the score. And I'm already starting thinking about, how does Baltimore then go on a run here? When do they lose their first game? This is the beginning of the end for the Buffalo Bills. I didn't like the roster coming into the season. And then Josh Allen just started to do Josh Allen things, puts on his cape, mounts a comeback. And I don't think the Baltimore Ravens ever recovered. For those of us who had Baltimore power ranked number 1 heading into the year, this feels like the first wound that they felt, and they just maybe it got infected throughout the season, and they were never able to find the antibiotic to fix what ails them. But the Buffalo Bills, week 1, ending up coming back and winning that game 41-40, it blew my mind, and I think it blew up the season for Baltimore.
It is funny to think back, and I feel your pain there, Dustin. Had plenty more bad beats to come as the year would unfold, but both of those teams will have new head coaches in 2026. Hard to believe that is where we are at. The Denver Broncos, as we get into another memorable sports moment, they had a lot of big comebacks in 2025, but none bigger than number 6.
Checking in at number 6 on the list.
33 points in the fourth quarter for the Denver Broncos against the New York Giants on October 19th. Now, this wasn't a magical cover, but still, minus 8.5 favorites. The Denver Broncos, remember, had that clunker of a game over in London, got the win, but it wasn't pretty. 13-11. They came back home. They didn't have a bye week, and it looked like they were still jet-lagged as they were down 19-0 going into the fourth quarter against a Giants team who would also fire their coach. A lot of coaches got fired in 2025, but 33 fourth quarter points by the Denver Broncos. It is the most in NFL history for a team who was shut out in the first 3 quarters. They were down 26-8, folks. With 6:38 to go, they were facing a 4th and 3. And at that time, we just talked about the win probability of the Bills coming back to beat the Baltimore Ravens. How about a win probability of 0.7% when they were down by 18 with 6.5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter? The most improbable comeback of the season. And for Giants fans, you might want to earmuff it here. NFL teams had won 1,602 straight games when leading by 18 points in the final 6 minutes of a game. Our own Stormy Bonatoni, she remembers this game very vividly as the Broncos' improbable comeback against the Giants.
Let's go back to week 7 in the NFL, where one might call it a giant collapse in Denver. New York was up 19-0 entering the fourth quarter, 26-8 with just over 5 minutes to go, and still couldn't hang on as the Denver Broncos come all the way back to complete the rally and win 33-32. The 33 fourth quarter points were the second most we have ever seen in a fourth quarter in NFL history, and the most for a team who had been shut out to that point. From a betting in-game standpoint, you could get as high as 30-1 on the Broncos money line in the fourth quarter after they closed a minus 430 money line favorite, 8.5 point favorites on the spread. It was a tough look on the total as well in what looked like a surefire under entering the fourth.
Yeah, no doubt about it. What a comeback it was, and almost set the stage for what the year would ultimately become for the Denver Broncos. Their incredible win in the divisional round against the Buffalo Bills. But as we all know now, Bo Nix's injury leads them to fall just short to the New England Patriots in a snow globe game in the AFC Championship. 10-7 was the final score. You know, every May, we all think we are horse experts, but we actually have a bunch of horse experts here, and that leads us to number 5 in our countdown.
Cracking the top 5 at number 5.
The Kentucky Derby Superfecta. We all try to figure it out. We're going to put it all together. We're going to mix and match 18-8 and put it all together. But we're more than likely just kind of throwing darts, aren't we? But not here at VSiN, because we have Mike Somich on our side. And Mike Somich put together a superfecta for all of us. He said it on every show. He said it on vsin.com. He put together a superfecta ticket, a $24 superfecta ticket. On top, 8 and 18. On second, 8, 14, and 18. He had 5 options at 3, 5 options in the 4, and that superfecta ticket, $24, ended up coming home. And the best moment of all was that our own Mike Somich was on the air, live on VSiN, to watch that beauty come to fruition.
But it is going to be sovereignty over journalism, followed by Baeza and final gambit. Give me that superfecta, baby. Let's go. We cashed it with sovereignty on top, journalism second, Baeza third, final gambit fourth. Woo! I love me some Kentucky Derby action. That is how you hit the superfecta. Now it's just
what a moment it was for Mike Somich, live on the air, VSiN at the track. And I'll give you a quick moment before we get to Mike here. We didn't know if we'd get to have Mike call the race because we thought we might be in commercial break, but fortunately for us, fortunately for you, fortunately for Mike, the rain led to a little bit of a sloppy track there. Let's hear from Mike Somich reliving one of the best moments, I would imagine, of his gambling life.
each year, horse racing bettors want to hit the Kentucky Derby Superfecta, and there were a bunch of VSiN subscribers that did so last year. We gave out a Superfecta ticket, cost $24 across 4 different shows in the VSiN guide, on VSiN at the track, that returned over $1,600. But I got the privilege to be able to then be live on VSiN as well as Mad Dog Sports Radio and call home the race. And when Final Gambit finished 4th, I realized in real time we had done it. We hit the Superfecta. $24 returned $1,600. What's even more surreal, by the end of the weekend, via DMs, via text messages, via emails, I had received more than $300,000 in winning tickets from other VSiN Pro bettors. It is a Kentucky Derby I will never forget.
No, and I appreciate you, Mike Somich, because I had some money on the Derby as well, thanks to you and your great breakdown. All right, enough positivity. Let's get back to the heartbreak. The Arizona Cardinals, did they really lose to the Tennessee Titans in that fashion? Yep, they did. We continue our countdown next right here on VSiN.
You're tuned in to the top 10 most memorable sports betting moments of 2025.
As we keep rolling along in our most memorable sports betting moments of 2025, we've had some joyous occasions that won us here at VSiN and hopefully you at home a lot of money. But when it comes to memorable sports betting moments, there are moments that cause you a ton of heartbreak, a lot of pain, and maybe some lost money. And that's what leads us with number 4.
Coming in at number 4.
October 5th in Glendale, Arizona, the Arizona Cardinals taking on the Tennessee Titans. So many of us here at VSiN and so many of our VSiN viewers are part of Circa Survivor. But even if you're not part of Circa Survivor, and if you're just in your neighborhood knockout pool, this one more than likely resonates with you. Early in the fourth quarter, the Arizona Cardinals are leading the then winless Tennessee Titans by a score of 21-6. Emari Demercado breaks through the hole. No one in front of him except for Green. And the Arizona Cardinals are going to cruise to a win over the winless Tennessee Titans. The referee throws up his hands, bring out the special teams for the extra point. But yet, there was some confusion. We had to review the play. Why are we reviewing this play? Oh, no. Demercado dropped the ball before he got into the end zone. The Titans now have possession. And what happens? Well, Cam Ward, who really hadn't shown much so far in his rookie season, leads the Titans on a 6-play, 80-yard drive. There was a couple of big moments on that drive, but we kept hope. If you had the Arizona Cardinals just to win the game, whether it be in a money line parlay or those knockout pools, because they missed the 2-point conversion. 21-12, we're okay. But as the game wore on, 4.5 minutes to go, Cam Ward on a 3rd and 2 steps back to pass, 21-12 to score. His pass is intercepted. Oh, man. Sigh of relief. We're good to go. But as the defender falls to the ground and is untouched, mind you, the ball pops out, it gets kicked around, and Tyler Lockett of the Tennessee Titans lands on it in the end zone. I think at that point we all knew, yeah, this is not going to go our way. Not long after, the Arizona Cardinals would punt the ball back to the Tennessee Titans. 1 minute and 53 seconds to go. The Tennessee Titans would go on an 11-play, 71-yard field goal drive. Cam Ward would connect with Calvin Ridley for 38 yards. That was the big play of that drive. And the Tennessee Titans, as we show you this lovely graphic, had a win probability as low as 1.8% in their comeback win over the Arizona Cardinals. The Titans had an average win probability of 12.1%. Unbelievable comeback, boneheaded play. Everything came together in that, as you might have been knocked out of those knockout pools. I personally lost my lone Circa Survivor entry on this loss, and Paulie Howard from Follow the Money remembers this loss very, very well.
I'm out of Survivor. I'm nauseous. I don't know if I'm entering the contest again. Arizona loses. Demercado fumbles the ball at the 1-yard line. I don't know what the comparison is. Is it someone hitting a home run and they don't touch home plate? This continues to happen over and over and over again. And you knew it was going to happen after he dropped the ball at the 1. Instead of being up 18, you knew Tennessee was going to rally, come back, and win. And that's exactly what happened. And the same thing just happened with Mitchell, Colts-Rams, a couple weeks ago. And another guy does the exact same thing. I'm disgusted. I'm out of Survivor. I can't believe he dropped the ball at the 1 and Arizona blows it.
I'll be honest. I agree with Paulie. I still have the venom. However, getting knocked out of Circa Survivor, for me, in that fashion, at least it gave me a story, because I wasn't going to get there. Why? Because, boy, things got really, really wacky on Thanksgiving, and that leads us to number 3.
This one earns the number 3 spot.
The dogs were a-barking on Thanksgiving. We had 3 games on Thanksgiving. The Green Bay Packers at the Detroit Lions. The Kansas City Chiefs at the Dallas Cowboys. The Cincinnati Bengals at the Baltimore Ravens. And on Friday, Black Friday, the Bears were at the Philadelphia Eagles. If you're a part of Circa Survivor, have heard about us talk about Circa Survivor, the unique wrinkle that Derek Stevens and his team put together for the largest legal sports betting competition out there is that all you have to do is pick a winner. But you have to pick a winner on Thanksgiving, and you have to pick a winner on Christmas Day. So heading into week 13A, Thanksgiving/Black Friday, you looked at it. If you had held back a couple of teams for that particular day, all you had to do was pick a winner. Doesn't seem that hard, right? Would it be in the first game of the day? Green Bay Packers, 3-point underdog at the Detroit Lions? You probably wouldn't play that game, right? 2 division rivals. You more than likely would leave that game to the side. How about the Kansas City Chiefs? 3.5-point favorites on the road at the Dallas Cowboys. Maybe. But the Dallas Cowboys would win that game 31-28. But you had survived some small upsets in games 1 and 2 on Thanksgiving. But how about the nightcap? In Baltimore, a forgettable season for the Cincinnati Bengals. The Bengals head in to take on their division rival as 7.5-point underdogs. The Baltimore Ravens scored early in this game to take a lead, and then Joe Burrow, in his return from injury, was flawless in Charm City, winning 32-14. Underdog, underdog, underdog. Packers to the Cowboys to the Bengals, leaving you with one final game. If you had waited and said, I don't want to play any of those games on Thanksgiving, I don't want to play short underdogs, I don't want to play a division rival, you saved yourself until Black Friday. 489 of the 898 entries rolled with the Philadelphia Eagles, who were 7-point home favorites against the Chicago Bears. And we've already heard about some of the magic that Caleb Williams and the Bears had this year. Well, that magic came to fruition yet again on Black Friday as they beat the Philadelphia Eagles by a score of 24-15. Absolute carnage. Thanksgiving into Black Friday, and Circa's Mike Palm relives it for us.
I don't think I can ever recall a time in the Circa Sportsbook like it was here on Black Friday, and should we call it Black Thursday as well for Thanksgiving? We entered the Thanksgiving holiday week with 898 survivors and 6 Grandissimo entries still left. It starts out Packers, Lions. Not a lot of plays on that game. Small upset. People that have the big favorites later are excited. Hey, this is good. As the afternoon wears on now, could the Cowboys really beat the Chiefs as a 3.5? Well, yeah, they did beat the Chiefs. Now, the people who played this correctly, the people who played it to have a touchdown favorite in Baltimore over Cincinnati and the Eagles over the Bears are loving it. They are loving this. They did it right. This is how you play Survivor. And then we get into the night game. And Baltimore is losing at half. They're still favored down 10 in the second half. Could this really be? Could Cincinnati, the season gone, really beat the Ravens? And now the looks are turning to terror as all the Raven tickets go up in smoke. And the Philadelphia Eagles backers are excited because all they have to do is beat the Bears, and they've cut the field by 2/3 on Black Friday. Oh, but no. The Bears rushed for 270 yards against the Eagles and beat them 24-15. And we go from 898 to 49 in Survivor. And Grandissimo is over. And it's nothing but sad faces on a holiday at Circa.
I thought on Black Friday you're supposed to be happy. You're walking around to all the shops. You're finding all these great deals. Well, I guess the deal was to play underdogs on Thanksgiving and on Black Friday. Kyle Monangai, 130 yards on the ground. DeAndre Smith, $125. As Mike Palm pointed out, the Chicago Bears, the stunner, beating the Philadelphia Eagles 24-15, ending Grandissimo and leaving just 49 entries left in Circa Survivor. That comes in at number 3 of our countdown of most memorable sports betting moments of 2025. The carnage in Circa Survivor on Thanksgiving into Black Friday. So we've gone from 10 down to 3. Only 2 are left. And I'll just let you know, these 2 moments that you will never forget, especially if you had bets on these particular moments, and we will get some great insight, relive them as well. Only 2 moments left. If we have missed anything, let us know. Tweet us at VSiN Live. Our last 2 memorable moments of 2025 coming up next. Absolute agony in the NFL.
You're tuned in to the top 10 most memorable sports betting moments of 2025.
And then there were 2. Number 2 and number 1 coming up in just a little bit. Our most memorable sports betting moments of 2025. I'm your host, Tim Murray. And just a reminder, all of us here at VSiN voted for these top 10. There was a lot of back and forth, a lot of disagreement. Well, that's why over at vsin.com right now, you can see moments 20 through 11 in an article written by Adam Burke. And if you disagree or we missed out on maybe your most memorable sports betting moment, let us know at VSiN Live on social media. But before we get into number 2 and number 1, let's relive what we have gone through, starting at number 10, and that would be the Florida Gators. 60-1 preseason, seemingly trailing in every game in the NCAA tournament, cutting down the nets and making our own Mitch Moss a very happy man. How about the Chicago Bears comeback against the Green Bay Packers, coming in at number 9? But Tim, that was in 2026. Oh, no. There was another one in 2025. They just did it again in 2026. Number 8, the NFL Draft. And the 2025 NFL Draft will always be remembered for Shedeur Sanders' fall to the 5th round in the NFL Draft. We thought he might be a top 10 pick. He ends up going in the 5th round to the Cleveland Browns. Number 7, Week 1, Sunday Night Football. The Baltimore Ravens looked like they were starting their run to a Super Bowl. Instead would blow a 15-point fourth quarter lead. The Bills came back to stun the Baltimore Ravens 41-40. Speaking of stunners, the New York Giants giving up 33 points in the fourth quarter to the Denver Broncos, losing 33-12, squandering a 19-0 lead going into the fourth quarter, a 26-8 lead in the fourth. Broncos coming back to win 33-32. How about the moment we had on VSiN during the Kentucky Derby? Our own Mike Somich live on the air as his Superfecta came to fruition and won us all a whole lot of cash. Coming in at number 4, pain and agony for so many of us as Emari Demercado drops the ball going into the end zone, and it sparked a Tennessee Titan comeback for the ages. Somehow, some way, the Cardinals squandered a double-digit fourth quarter lead against the Titans. And then at number 3, absolute and utter carnage in Circa Survivor on Thanksgiving into Black Friday, as we saw the Philadelphia Eagles lose as touchdown favorites to the Chicago Bears on Black Friday to sum up a stretch of 4 straight dogs winning. And speaking of the Philadelphia Eagles, well, wouldn't you know it, they are part of our next sports betting moment of 2025.
The second most memorable betting moment of 2025.
The Philadelphia Eagles hosting the Los Angeles Rams in Week 3 of the NFL season. The Los Angeles Rams, ladies and gentlemen, were 4-point dogs on the road at Philadelphia. And I know many of us here at VSiN, including my partner on VSiN Primetime, Matt Humans, had the Los Angeles Rams. And this looked like quite the easy winner, as the Rams had a 26-7 lead with 12 minutes to go in the third quarter. But slowly but surely, the Eagles would chip away at that deficit and eventually took a 27-26 lead after a 17-play, 91-yard touchdown drive as Jalen Hurts connected with Devontae Smith on 4th and goal from the 4 to make it 27-26. But that's the beauty of sports betting, right? We took the points with the Rams. This is no issue. Eagles can win. Rams get the cover. Not a problem. Here come the Los Angeles Rams. Maybe they're going to get the win. Matthew Stafford and the Rams moving the ball down the field. Kyron Williams gets a 7-yard run down to the Philadelphia 26-yard line. Now it's time for a game-winning field goal attempt. 27-26. The kick is up, and it is blocked by Jordan Davis. Fall on the ball, end the game. Fall on the ball, end the game. But the big 330-pounder said, nah, this is my moment of glory. He scoops it up, and he is off to the end zone. 61 yards. Eagles win, and Eagles cover. Matt Humans, a gentleman who always forgets about his bad beats, relives this Week 3 loss.
Hey, there's nothing like a bad beat to ruin your NFL Sunday, and I think this was the worst beat of the entire regular season. Week 3 in Philadelphia, I took the Rams as 5-point underdogs. Joshua Carty lining up for the potential game-winning kick in the final seconds. 27-26, the Rams trail the Eagles. What could possibly go wrong? How about Jordan Davis blocking the kick, picking the ball up in the 335-pounder, rambling 61 yards for a touchdown and a 33-26 win and cover for the Eagles. That's sick. Rams getting 5, down 1, end up losing by 6 off the block field goal return for a touchdown. But hey, I mean, that was several months ago, and, I'm over it by now, right?
I make sure to remind Matt Humans of this on a daily basis on VSiN Primetime. Hey, Matt, do you remember week 3? Remember that Rams and Eagles game? How'd that go for you? Well, that's not number 1. What could possibly be number 1 in our top 10 most memorable sports betting moments of 2025?
The most memorable betting moment of 2025.
The World Series, and what a World Series it was. The Toronto Blue Jays and the Los Angeles Dodgers going 7 games. The Blue Jays trying to win their first World Series since Joe Carter in 1993. Game 7, you had a Bo Bichette 3-run homer off Shohei Ohtani to give the Blue Jays a 3-0 lead. They had a 4-2 lead, regained in the bottom of the 6th inning, but then, slowly but surely, those pesky Dodgers would chip away at their deficit. Max Muncy, a solo home run in the top of the 8th, and then in the top of the 9th, with Shohei Ohtani waiting on deck, Miguel Rojas, who had not hit a home run all postseason, lines a home run over the left field fence. But don't worry, the Blue Jays, bottom of the 9th inning, they would load the bases. Yamamoto would have to come out of the bullpen after pitching a stellar game in Game 6. The bases were loaded. There was a ground ball to second base. Rojas is stunned, throws it home, and somehow, just by the toe, Will Smith keeps his foot on home plate. Later in that inning, Andy Pages would catch a deep fly ball to left field, knocking over Kike Hernandez. And then we all know what happened. Will Smith got jiggy with a pitch in the 11th inning, a solo home run. The Dodgers are your World Series champion, and our own Dave Ross was very, very sad.
You see this ticket? This ticket right here is the greatest ticket that never cashed. It's a Toronto Blue Jays 22-1 ticket to win the World Series. It was going to net me $66,000. Yes, that's right. If the Toronto Blue Jays could have gotten 2 more outs in Game 7 of the World Series. Now, did I really think when I bought this ticket that the Blue Jays were going to win the World Series at the All-Star break? Maybe not necessarily. But when George Springer hits a 3-run homer in Game 7 to beat Seattle, I started to believe. And then when Bo Bichette took Shohei Ohtani deep for a 3-run homer, I actually got so excited. My neighbor had to come over, true story, and knock on my door and say, "Is everything okay?" And I said, yes, I was just a little bit excited. And then my excitement was quickly taken away by one of the wildest endings to any Game 7 of any World Series in the history of baseball. It took 3 monumental events for the Blue Jays not to cash that ticket. I have to sit here, tip my cap to the Dodgers, and an incredible comeback in a victory, and yet I still have this ticket, and I haven't thrown it away yet, and I don't know if I'm ever going to throw away this ticket.
To sum up what Matt Humans loves to tell me on a nightly basis on VSiN Primetime, I will tell this to Dave Ross. There's nothing worse than hope. And he had a whole lot of hope at almost cashing a massive futures ticket. And don't forget, in the bottom of the 11th inning, down 5-4 after the Will Smith home run, Vladimir Guerrero led off that inning with a double, was sacrificed over to third, but Alejandro Kirk grounded into a inning-ending, season-ending, future-dying double play. There you have it, folks. Our top 10 most memorable sports betting moments of 2025. What a crazy year it was, and you can only imagine what we will be in store for in 2026. I'm Tim Murray. Just a reminder, head on over to vsin.com to check out number 20 through 11, the sports betting moments of 2025.